Hello and good afternoon, and welcome to Enlightened Radio's End of the Road program in Jefferson County, West Virginia, featuring some hipster geezers and road wallowers. Mike Diesel, John Case, Larry Bish, sometimes Mr. Bill from the farm, and the Hound Dog, sometimes the Rooster, and sometimes some feathered friends from the neighborhood here out in the nearby country, ex Irvia, West Virginia. And we do this on Wednesday mornings around 8 a.m. Get up bright and early, and man, we talk about what you do when you find yourself at the end of the road. First thing, however, we listen to the wolf who meets us there.
And when he reached the last of the small dark juniper trees where the broad valley ran under the Animus peaks, he crouched quietly to steady his breath, and then raised himself slowly and looked out. They were running on the plain, harrying the antelope, and the antelope moved like phantoms in the snow, and circled and wheeled, and the dry powder blew about them in the cold moonlight, and their breath smoked palely in the cold as if they burned with some inner fire, and the wolves twisted and turned and leapt in a silence such that they seemed of another world entire. They moved down the valley and turned and moved far out on the plain until they were the smallest of figures in that dim whiteness, and then they disappeared. He was very cold. He waited. It was very still. He could see by his breath how the wind lay, and he watched his breath appear and vanish constantly before him in the cold, and he waited a long time. Then he saw them coming, loping and twisting, dancing, tunneling their noses in the snow, loping and running and rising by twos in a standing dance, and running on again. There were 7 of them, and they passed within 20 feet of where he lay. He could see their almond eyes in the moonlight. He could hear their breath. He could feel the presence of their knowing that was electric in the air. They bunched and nuzzled and licked one another. Then they stopped. They stood with their ears cocked, some with one forefoot raised to their chest. They were looking at him. He did not breathe. They did not breathe. They stood. Then they turned and quietly trotted on. When he got back to the house, Boyd was awake, but he didn't tell him where he'd been or what he'd seen. He never told anybody.
Yes, there we go. The three-headed monster is on the air.
Hold on a second here. Let's get this thing going here.
Play it at the funky music.
All right. Okay, we are going 3, 2, 1. Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the end of the road. Here we are with your host, John Case, from the Little Red Caboose. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And we don't call him Larry. We don't call him Lawrence. We call him Scary Larry. Yes, Larry Bish is here, everybody. And me, Mike. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the end of the road.
You are Mike Diesel, right?
Cuccarini.
Mike Diesel Cuccarini. That's right. You know one of the problems with Cuccarini is spelling it.
Yeah, I know. Trust me.
Yeah.
I always got one wrong in kindergarten every day for like 6 months until I could figure it out myself.
I was wondering how your dad.
You're on your own, kid.
You can't spell your own name. Whereas mine was easy, you know. I mean,
Well, that's why my wife wouldn't take my name.
Oh, she just didn't want to.
Imagine her trying to switch from Wait to Cuccarini on the check.
Okay, guys, it's the end of the road here, and in more ways than one, I'm sure we can all, speak to that. But first of all, let's start off with checking out how everybody is. Mike, what's going on there in your family, and how's everybody doing? And
thank goodness the majority of the folks here in the family are healthy. I hear from down Culpeper Way, people are social distancing, except for my younger brother and his and our older brother, his boss. They're still out and about working. As HVAC guys, they're still doing, but they're being careful. They're being very careful. They have a system set up, and they feel pretty confident in it. His wife, my younger brother, works at is a ER surgical nurse, and probably she's on the night shift, so I'm sure she's being assigned to whatever kind of comes in and whatever happens. I think their big fear is, because they're a small rural hospital, is being like every rural hospital in the country, they're a little bit concerned about capacity shooting up, at a moment's notice. As we've talked about these clusters across the country, I think it's really a strong disservice that they're not identifying senior citizen facilities and elder care facilities across the country and trying to get in there and get tests done and take care of business. And that's not what we're seeing. We're just not seeing that. There's just not enough people on the same page right now, bro. But my wife's doing good, and I mowed the grass yesterday, so I feel pretty good.
Well, that's not bad. Larry, what's going on with you?
Well, I got you both beat with the grass. I don't have any grass.
Yeah, there you go.
I live in a treed lot, 1.5 acres trees. What I do have is leaves. So I have a wake up in the fall when they start to fall down. So anyway, doing good. Just getting tired of this, and that's silly because this is probably it for a very long time, pretty much. Linda got a pain in her stomach, and I just realized, what if one of us gets sick? She got better, but went away. But it was a little bit of a wake up. I'm getting on the phone with some really old friends from way back, people, and I'm realizing what they did for me back then. When I was a teenager, I was a street waif, a regular John D. Salinger character, and I made friends with people who were a few years older, 20, one college student, one biker guy. Joe Pierce let me sleep at his bathtub forever, I just had re-experiencing things like that. Got a call from a guy that played drums in 2 of the bands I was in. See how he's doing, and checking in, keeping up with those people, my musician friends, they're all out of work now. Jeff's cleaning toilets at Walmart. He's one of the best drummers in the country.
Ouch.
Yeah, well, he's laughing about it. Says, yeah, I gotta do something. So I just went over there. I do that a couple days a week.
There's a lot of that going on, man. There's a lot of
Hello?
comics I know they're out.
I think my comedy might be. I don't know, Mike. Is it possible that it's easier to do that online? I think maybe, but how do you get a crowd? Where do you get?
I mean, anything, rock and roll, band, musicians, anything that you do that requires or is often considered better in front, with a crowd, it's always going to suffer, man. I mean, you see the guys on, I told John, I was watching Stephen Colbert, and Stephen is sitting at his roll top desk, and his wife is bringing him like a bourbon, and his kids are in the shot. They're just walking. His older kid just walked right by, and he goes, "Oh, that was Pete."
Yeah. Hey, I got one.
These guys all have kind of, they have families and everything.
Okay.
But he's still doing the jokes as if there was a crowd there. Including the timing of the pauses, that kind of thing. But here's the thing I told John that was amazing was Dave Matthews did a tribute to Prine to John Prine that was just, I don't know, it almost brought me to tears. I thought it was really, really, I think I sent you a text about it, John.
I actually watched it, yeah.
Wasn't that great?
Yeah, also the one she had Brandy Carlisle also do a tribute.
Right. I mean, just the tributes are pouring in. I mean,
although I thought the one that we played, I found on Facebook of Ruthie Foster was as good as any.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, they're all good. They're all great. But I really, truly affected. Ruthie is just something quite special.
Well, let me get back to my own. What's going on?
Sure. Yeah. Let's get back to John. I'm sorry, Larry.
Yeah, it's all about me. I mean, me and Don.
It's all about John.
Well, I mean, we're doing okay here because I mean, Carol's still working from home, right? And you know, we've got our family. Some of them are being affected pretty bad. You know, we have my nephew and his wife, who's 6 months pregnant and having some difficulty. Um, he got laid off, and he's been. Last I heard, he'd made 300 different calls to the trying to get through to the unemployment office and had not yet succeeded. So, you know,
Along that same lines, did you see what happened in Florida?
yeah, wait, but hold on a second here. And then also, I believe that there's been another bill to improve payments to people sheltering at home in Canada, where my daughter lives. And she's back to work, working from home. But a little bit like what you described about the woman in the hospital, you know, you work, you're supposed to homeschool and, you know, keep your kids from driving you absolutely crazy, you know, in a condo, right? And and you can, if you go out with more than two people and they're not related, they give you a ticket.
Wow.
You know, so it's kind of that's going on. And we got you know, we have some relatives also that are down in Panama raising pigs, and they're having some difficulties because you can't go anywhere. And they have a rule down in Panama: if you're going to go shopping, it's women one day and men the next. Why? I'm not quite sure, but
Well, if
lot of
they're
explanation.
raising pigs, they might be in a good position here now that both of our meat packing plants in both South Dakota and Iowa are being shut down.
That's right. Well, that and my my other nephew and his sister and my niece are still working in the city of Boston, and one of them is an emergency room
Yeah,
technician.
you said that. Yeah, God bless them.
So that's going on. But anyway, we're that's kind of the current state of affairs as far as, you know, family goes. I'm worried about our. It looks to me like we're still increasing in Jefferson County. If I read Sheriff, you know, Pete Doherty's little posts on Facebook correctly,
Yep.
and I'm not quite sure where that's headed. Anybody
Yeah,
hear any more news about that?
Not good, man. It's not good. Also, too, what I just was saying about if Florida was, it's people are being forced to not social distance to go apply for unemployment. It's amazing. The lines are long and people are really getting on each other's nerves, and you can see them fighting in line. They showed film of it, and I'm like, good God, really? Because the former governor, now asinine senator from Florida, and Skeletor, has made it so difficult for you to apply for unemployment that this is what they're dealing with now, and DeSantis doesn't want to change it. So in order to even apply for unemployment, there's no social distancing. You have to get in line like everybody else. And sure, you can wear a mask, but you need your money. I mean, is that about the most irresponsible? That and making Wisconsin, although Wisconsin, God bless them, that judge is now gone. That right-wing judge, as our Chief Justice of the state Supreme Court, lost
To a woman.
To a woman who's liberal. Thank God, because that vote is going to help us.
All right, guys, I think it's time to play a little bit of Trump's press conference here. This is the shortest version I can find because I don't think we're going to be.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, I got to cue it up here anyway.
Okay, very good. Just give me a second. I got to do something while you play it.
All right, so I got to, first of all, I got to do a little share here. Make sure I'm joining the.
This is gonna feel really good when I stop.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna do that one. There we go. Screen. Okay, we're gonna share. All right, can you all see Trump there on the picture? Okay. Okay.
Take it down. I'll talk. I'll say anything.
I'm gonna mute you guys. Be quiet while I play this, because otherwise it won't come through. Okay, here it goes. Oh, wait a minute. I got to turn the volume up.
Clips that we're just going to put up. We could turn the lights a little bit lower. I think you'll find them interesting. And then we'll answer some questions. I'll ask you some questions because you're so guilty, but forget it. But most importantly, we're going to get back onto the reason we're here, which is the success we're having. Okay? Please, you could put it on. Thank you.
How worried should Americans be about coronavirus?
Coronavirus is not going to cause a major issue in the United States.
Well, we've asked them to accelerate whatever they're doing in terms of a vaccine.
We are cutting into what was not a White House coronavirus task force briefing. I am Ari Melber. Our special coverage continues. We are going to avoid airing any more of this White House briefing until it returns to what it was supposed to be, which was the coronavirus task force providing medical information. What we just saw, I want to be very clear with viewers, was a video the White House put out which suggests they are spending their precious time right now making videos that defend the president's record and tenure rather than provide the much-needed emergency medical information that was promised.
I've never seen a video like that played in this room.
I give you hundreds of clips just like that. We have them.
So this was produced by government employees, by people here at the White House, this campaign style.
I wouldn't use the word produced. All they did was took some clips and they just ran them for you. The press has not treated these incredible people who've done such a great job. They haven't treated them fairly. They're way off. We were way ahead of schedule.
The middle of March, you do close it down earlier.
I closed down from China. Excuse me. I closed it down from China.
You bought yourself some time. You didn't use it to prepare hospitals. You didn't use it to ramp up testing. Right now,
you're so disgraceful. It's so disgraceful the way you say that. I just went over it.
Or this rant supposed to make people
I just went over it.
in an unprecedented crisis.
Nobody thought we should do it. And when I did it.
But what did you do with the time that you bought?
You know
the
we
month
did?
of February.
You know what we did?
Was a gap.
What do you do?
Month of February.
What do you do when you have no case in the whole United States?
You had cases
when
in February.
Excuse me, you reported it. 0 cases, 0 deaths on January 17th.
January, February, the entire
January.
month of
I said in January.
Your video has a complete gap.
On January 30th.
What did your administration do in February with the time that your travel ban thought?
A lot. A lot. And in fact, we'll give you a list. What we did, in fact, part of it was up there. We did a lot. Look. You know you're a fake. You know that. Your whole network, the way you cover it, is fake. Why did Biden apologize? Why did he write a letter of apology?
Right now care
No, that's very important. Why did the Democrats think that we really have done this right? The problem is the press doesn't cover it the way it should be. Go ahead. One more question, Steve. Go ahead.
Well,
What, you want me to react?
I would like to let me have Larry react first.
Please, yes.
Oh, by the way, he also declared that he had a dictatorial powers over the states, and he would determine what they were going to do. So
He got a lot of blowback for that, but you know, it seems more and more. It doesn't matter what he does. It didn't from the beginning, and everyone. I was astonished by all of the media and everyone going, did he really say that? Did he really do that? And I'm thinking, nobody's gonna vote for this guy. He's a total turd, you know. And everybody, it doesn't shake his base. They're convinced that we're brainwashed.
yeah,
And it's amazing. But I want to say something about Obama's endorsement of Biden. It consisted of a list of leadership qualities that Biden has, but it was so artfully done because he wasn't into the third one before he realized this is a list of qualities Trump utterly lacks.
yes, I thought that was.
You're right. It was a perfect contrast.
It was a perfect contract. It was done so elegantly, so well. Unfortunately, to the people that you want to change, you want to help, really.
Right.
It's not going to get through, I don't think.
No, I don't think the argument's going to get through to some of them. But on the other hand, I can't believe that, you know, there's a bunch of people that are Republicans as well that are charged now with running government services in different states, like our state, for example, and under all this pressure, right? And it has to, when they sit down and listen to that kind of malarkey, basically, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I can't believe that they, at least, are not moved to, you know, serious doubt about this whole thing. I know the troops are out there. I mean, they've decided that government is the enemy, and they've been talked into it. And once you get people in a loop like that, you're right. There's nothing but an ass kicking and you know, taking away all their money that will change them.
I think some of them are starting to get their ass kicked, and I think some of them are starting to wake up.
Some probably. You have to. You know, I mean,
percentage of them. But
are we going to get to the election?
There's a hardcore group that you're never going to get to. Never. They are the cult following that you just can't. No matter how many times you bang the drum, they're going to tell you it's a guitar.
Are we going to get to the election? That's my next question.
Yes. I think there's so much pressure on the government to allow. Now, what you may have is you may have the election extended a period of time to calculate all the mail-in ballots. So that does give them time to bullshit their way through things. But you know, I don't know that you can't bullshit your way through all of this death. I don't think you can do it.
No, one would hope not. But yeah, I think his intentions are clear. Okay, Trump's intentions are clear that if an election is going to be lost, he's not going to have one. So, and whether he's, and I think his efforts will be moving in that direction. To that extent, for example, if the death toll keeps rising and the emergency continues, in a certain, you know, twisted sense, that favors his plan.
It's not if, it is. It is rising every day.
No, I'm right. I mean,
Bill Maher has been saying what you're saying, John, for a year, easy. That Trump won't leave office. He'll call the election bogus. He'll hunker down. And if he has any kind of police or military support, we're done.
We're in bad shape. That's right.
Yeah,
if that's true, I don't know what the story there is, and
he does not.
I hope not. But rank and file cops like him.
One at a time. One at a time.
Let's look at the number of people he's blown through. Okay, people that have been loyal to him, where did they end up?
In the military too, right?
Where do they end up? Under the bus. Under the bus. There is no loyalty reciprocation from him ever. The only loyalty is, to a certain extent, is his family, because he probably has contracts with each one of his siblings or his children. He called his son her son.
Oh, you mean the one that
Brandon?
He's not sure he's the father, kind of thing.
You know, it's like, yeah, she has a son, you know.
Yeah. Hey, hold on, Mike. Hold on, Mike. On Trump's on this question of the election, okay, and getting to it. Now we all know, for example, that the mail-in ballot may prove to be a critical thing. Am I right about that?
Yes.
And but mail-in ballots, which Trump is of course attacking, right? You know, he's attacking that. Okay, and it's clear that their position, like that Wisconsin judge, is going to be, oh, if you want to vote, go get the virus at the polling place, and that will depress, you know, the vote, as well as all the other voter suppression things that they may come up with, right? Which I'm sure.
Not may, they are.
So, you know, I'm wondering how we now Wisconsin voters said, to hell with that, I'm going to the polls. Now, are we going to do that?
I don't think we don't have to. I don't have to. I can get a write-in ballot right now.
I got a little postcard. I can get it, show it to you from the county clerk, and I fill that out, send it back, and I get the mail-in ballot. We got them yesterday, and that's
how did
that's
you
reassuring.
how did you get it? Did you just call them up, or did you go online?
It just showed up. It just showed up. Here, I'll show you.
Yeah, you show us. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I think we're gonna be good, John. I think West Virginia's gonna be all right. I don't think even Justice he can't mess with that. I mean, if he's ordered to by his Orange King, maybe he will.
There you go. Okay.
And then on the back, it's instructions, and you fill this out.
Right.
And then more instructions on the inside. And just this is important. It says no, come on. The absentee ballot process involves these simple steps. The voter first submits an absentee ballot application to their county clerk. County clerk then mails a postage-prepared absentee ballot to the voter, and the voter marks the ballot and returns it to the county clerk either in mail or in person delivery.
How's the identification established?
I'm going to assume it's from my registration.
Right. But you're going to make it's going to have a return address of you, and you're a registered voter. But anybody could have mailed that. It's going to be the other side's argument here.
Yeah, it looks good. I mean, it looks great. But the option to hand deliver it kind of helps that, John.
That does. That's true.
And I think it's valid. It looks real good. The problem I see, or the fear I have, is what happens to the ballots. Did you see they had those big plastic tubs of mail-in ballots in Wisconsin that never made it to the poll?
Right.
So, and you were saying about anarchists. By the way, I have a favorite anarchist, Chomsky. But that's their problem. They don't trust or appreciate regulation. And I don't think there's no anarchies active in the world, are there, as governments?
Also, I think the thing too,
they get overthrown quickly, usually by their own.
So how smart is that? Yeah.
What occurs to me, and John and Larry, you guys could probably speak to this as well, is one of the difficult things is they're talking about trying to shut down the Postal Service. See, now that there is an indication you've already shown your hand. You know that these ballots, you're going to get your ass kicked. So you're trying to shut down the Postal Service to delay or shut down the election, which is just bullshit. I mean, it's so obvious.
These guys are pathetic. They're pathetic. But you have to appreciate brute force. I mean, when I was a younger guy, I would drink some, and I like to hang out in places where a lot of people wouldn't go through the door. But I can tell you that if the guy is way bigger than you, don't get into the fight. And that's what I'm saying about these Trump people, is that's how they think, and you have to knock them out from behind.
You do. Yes,
well, the easiest thing to do to that guy is walk up to him and go, "Hey, man, that guy over there, you see that guy over there in the red jacket? He just said your wife's a whore. Are you gonna take it?" And then run.
I don't know. I think we got a rebellion building pretty powerful here in the country. The governors are obviously put in a box which they probably would not otherwise choose to be. I mean,
I'd rather have a quarterback instead of somebody riding the pine.
So let me return to an issue that I was before the tape, and that is that there's a very interesting article or op-ed in the Post this morning from
John, will you get through that? I'm going to redo my coffee.
Yeah. Because you've heard part of this. So you can.
Yep, I want to be 3 or 4 minutes. I'll be back.
3 or 4. God, that's a
Jeez.
big cup.
I know he's gonna brew the coffee.
I'm gonna keep pouring it. Where he ridicules the Democratic Socialists of America, which is, grown immensely in the wake of Sanders' campaign. I mean, compared to most socialist organizations anyway in the country. But of course, in its growth, like everything else, like a little bit like some of Bernie's campaign, it attracts a certain kind of parasite in American socialism that has been around for a long, long time. And I think it's a product of our middle class society after World War II a little bit. Everybody was living better. And even a good part of the working class got some property, a mortgage, and sometimes a place at the beach. And, and not to mention, the kind of small business mentality that's very, very prominent in a lot of places, right? I mean, it's a big part of our society. And when people get socialist ideals or identity ideals and that thing, they sometimes get very inflamed and very naturally very motivated. But then comes the thing about real politics and real economic change and real social change, when you leave the platform of agendas and praise mongering and big speeches and all this other stuff, the road is considerably rough. Well, one of the first and most militant anarchist groups in the United States that had a labor base was the Industrial Workers of the World, the IWW. Led by an interesting collection of like Big Bill Haywood, and these guys for a while had a theory that it would be a crime, a moral crime, to sign a contract with the boss. And I remember they had a famous strike in, I think it was near Chicago, but it might be Minneapolis. I might be mistaken about that. Anyway, at International Harvester, one of the first. And it was led by the IWW, and what they wanted to do was they went on strike, and they'd come to work every morning, and they wouldn't start work though until they'd agreed on the wage for the day. Yeah. So I mean, and the whole idea of signing a labor contract was considered a betrayal, of idealistic utopian socialism kind of thing, right? And finally, Big Bill took a trip and got involved in a Russian project called the Kuzbaz Project, which was is there a way to have an anarchistic running of a factory? I think that was something like that. Anyway, in the process, they met Lenin, and they got a little bit educated about revolutions aren't quite made of things like that. And so they came back to the United States, and they changed their mind about it. But ever since, and it's probably less true in the 30s than it is now, because that it was after World War II, because we got richer. And when you're well off, and you get some property, you start thinking, you think differently. I know guys that worked in the Ontario GE plant. They were making great money. Okay, they were service and repair for jet engines. Traveled all over the world and came back and fixed them in the shop. And these guys were making good money. I bet half of them had properties that they were renting out to. And guess what they did? They started voting Republican because their rental interests coincided with the Republican platform, half the day, even though they were good union guys. So you have this situation like a group like the DSA, which says they're following Bernie Sanders. All right. Although Bernie Sanders made it clear from day one of both campaigns that he would endorse the Democratic nominee, he never said anything different than that ever. And he did what he said he was going to do, as Bernie does. Okay. And now these guys want to play the fifth column. And the problem is that they think they have these great ideas, but they end up being cat's paws for Trump. And that's what Harold Meyerson said this morning, and I agree with him. I don't know. So we all have seen this phenomenon in our communities, okay, about, I know I'm interested in your guys' views on what do we do? What happens to we have a lot of them in this area, of the environment. A lot of the environmental people and a lot of liberal and progressive folks, are going to have to, fight themselves to vote for Biden.
There's a
What do you think?
there's a difference, and it's stark between a voter or a citizen defending his principles or trying to implement moral or fair, those things,
right,
into the government, and someone who's protecting his property. That's what you're talking about. Someone who wants to keep his third car.
Exactly.
Somebody who likes the fact that his kids are well dressed, and that he lives in a good part of town.
He can afford to send them to school.
Yeah, and so that's where the rubber meets the road, I think, when it comes to people who switch or who I have a couple of friends like that. They say he's doing a great job, and that's their position. That's where they are. They own businesses. Some caught more than one, and these are mostly bar owners that I know. But there it is. They're still the sweetest people in the world. There's one I was just talking about yesterday is a kindergarten teacher. She's wonderful. She's a wonderful person. I sent her there was a GIF out about Trump and the Titanic. I don't know if you saw that.
Right, I saw that one. Yeah, I saw that one. Yeah.
She said, "Yeah, funny, but he's still doing a great job." She's the only one that said that, but there they are. They dot my friends list. Yeah. And it's just that they're the owners of the clubs. They're not bad people. They're the owners of the restaurants I played at.
Yeah.
They're either not going to vote at all, a lot of them, or they're going to vote for Trump. But they're not going to vote against their own financial interests.
Right. Mike.
Maybe it's me. I don't know, Larry. I'm sorry for your friends' lack of information and lack of reality. Because the reality on the ground and the reality in the air and the reality everywhere is that he sucks. He's the worst, probably the worst president of our lifetimes.
Easy.
And my other point would be, maybe this is me, because I am passionate about the way I feel and what I see going on. I don't argue with people like that. I disappear them from my life. I can't argue. I can't spend my life arguing and fixing the world for you. I can't do it. I won't do it. And the reality is I've tried, and you can ask, John and I have shared this. I have tried to reach out. I've been that guy that reaches out to the other side and says, I wonder what their belief is. And bullshit for me anymore. I can't do it. I just can't do it. And the bottom line is I actually am one of those guys that put on his Facebook and his Twitter, if you support this insanity, unfriend me. Go away. Because I don't want to see any more of your bullshit memes from places like Breitbart and Fox News. I just don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to read it. I don't want to hear it. Jeanine Pirro is a propagandist jerk off. Okay, she's an idiot.
Why don't you explain who she is? Most people don't know who she is.
I mean, these are people on Fox, but you also have what is it, Sinclair Broadcasting?
Right.
The two buildings out of Baltimore that own like billions of dollars in local television stations, and they're all kind of saying the exact same bullshit. Except when it comes to the weather, because people can see that.
Let me give you another example, Mike. What you might do is another example is I complained about the Wisconsin, what was going on there. Awful, just awful. To me, that's criminal.
Oh yeah.
But he comments back, says, "Well, the grocery stores are packed," and So my reply was, you need food to live. Making people go out and risk their lives to vote is just unnecessary. Wrong. I didn't hear back from them. You know, that's what happens. They disappear. They disappear on their own.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Right.
he's not gone. He's not totally lost. He's still there, lurking there, you know. And if you treat them decently, at least they stick around and hear your side of it, you know. I find that people get into that sort of argument with me or are around when someone else does. It doesn't happen again very well for a while, because you're not going to win that argument with me.
Well, you're a
You
better.
can't
You're
win it. Yeah. But I'm talking about people who wouldn't. These people that are hanging in there with Trump, they don't have that kind of skeptical, rational skill, and so they're doing their best to come up with ways to defend him, and you know, they're as lame as his presence. But I don't lose hope with them, because I know them to be decent people.
Well, you know what they're, you know, remember what the two dinosaurs were saying over the fence to each other right before the asteroid came. It's just a big liberal hoax.
Well, I've seen that one.
I keep going back to the True Believer, Hoffer, Eric Hoffer. It's a thin little book, but he was a dock worker, not a college educated intellectual at all, but he was a brilliant observer of social phenomena. And the True Believer is about
I remember
the
that
guy
book,
who, yeah, it's a great book, and his depiction of this character is someone who is in the extreme, is looking for a cause to die for, because his life has been rendered meaningless somehow. But he's looking for a cause to die for. That was an important part of Hoffer's theory, and I've seen it in play, and I see his point. These people are on board for the whole whatever happens, you know. I don't know what you do with them.
I don't either.
I think you find that they will respond to certain kinds of pressure. Okay, not all of them. You're right. There's always a core of people that are going to fall on the sword, that somehow they convince themselves of that. But you know, a lot of folks, like the person when you argue with them that doesn't get back to you. Okay. Well, you know, I mean, they don't want to have a fight, right? I mean, when actually people get down to it, oh, you actually want to shoot it out over this?
Yeah.
And you know, there's some that won't, you know, then. So
could be more important to you than it is to them.
I go back to that study, John, that they did, I think 2009 through 2012.
What study?
Where they studied the size of somebody's amygdala.
Amygdala. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's
amygdala. I'm serious. When your amygdala is oversized, your life is determined by fear.
Exactly.
It's driven by being afraid of other people.
That's Mike, you made a point that I shouldn't have overlooked, is there are biological differences and reasons for this phenomenon. There absolutely are. And the amygdala plays a big part, a very big part. The amygdala sounds the alarm, you know. And so these people are responding to emotional patterns in their brain that are hardwired.
Right.
And so yeah, that's something you don't want to overlook. You know, something else I wanted to point out while it's on my mind. How many of these have you guys seen since people started using Zoom and Skype for everything? Everybody's set up in front of their damn bookshelves, you know. I didn't do it intentionally, but I started noticing. Oh my God, I look just like this guy. You know?
Yeah.
You'll see the calendar back here. It's Michelle Obama back here. It's
you got some kind of like yellow thing over that prevents clarity on your camera.
well, then I'll have to change that.
I mean, I recognize you. Yeah. You have a. It looks like there's a camera problem, not a problem, like a filter that wants to make you look kind of yellowish. And
well, as long as it doesn't make me look orange, I think I'll be okay.
no, you're not orange. No, it's just like it's like there's about 15 smokers between us and you.
No, there's no. What?
And we're in one of those cigar bars, you know. Where is it? Anyway, you're good, Mike. Mike, you know, I can recognize you. You know, you're coming through. It's okay.
I need a big cigar, and I go, here's the
okay. Topic number 3. Trump has withdrawn funds from the World Health Organization because it doesn't have enough white people in it. That little last part was mine.
I understand the doctors have accents. I don't get it. Cut them off. Cut them off.
Must be from a shitty country.
From Pakistan? It's crazy.
But isn't this a crime? I mean, the WHO is doing, I mean, the Lord's work, right, in so many places, and just to cut it off, isn't that another just?
He drew a very, very negative response from the rest of the world for that.
Yep.
He didn't get, you know, but what I'm seeing with that sort of action with Trump is that we're going to find ourselves all alone in a global world.
Yeah.
You know, a globalized, you know, sooner or later people are going to say, I don't care how much you have or how tough you are. We're not dealing with you if we don't have to.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, and sooner or later they're going to stand up to him, you know.
Well, they already are.
Yeah.
I think for the first time, God bless the CNN female journalist. For the first time, she challenged him.
Yeah, right. She didn't let him off the hook. She didn't buy it.
Let him off the hook. Stayed on his ass, and that's the way they have to do it.
And you go, you're fake. You're fake. You're fake. I'm gonna ask the question again. You know.
Who does that? Who does? Who gets little mean little nicknames for all the people they don't
Nazis
like?
do that. And always and whenever possible. Yeah, whenever possible, a racist edge to it, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Tinge it. Yeah. Everything that he called virus.
He's trying to hurt their feelings. He's trying to hurt their feelings because his feelings are so easily accosted.
Oh, he's so fragile. He's a fragile little snowflake flower.
Yeah,
he plays one.
Well,
I keep wondering that he plays one. See, I mean, if you're a Nazi, okay, all this is the fact that there's harm going to be spread as long as you maintain power and pursue your weird, vision, then that's all that's important. And so the whole pandemic is just politics to him, to Trump, and how to blame somebody for it. Okay, and the big question is whether institutionally we're able to overcome it. Okay, and obviously I think everybody would like to see the election happen. Biden gets elected, and then people would hope, is there a path to normal, again? Well, one would hope so, but the problem is that this guy's followers, even if he's defeated, this is going to turn into an even more. these people will kill people over their convictions. They will do that.
We'll see.
And
I don't think half of them are. I don't think half of them are smart enough, and I don't think the other half are brave enough.
Depends on how they're led, and as Larry said, depends on a lot depends on how the U.S. military lays out.
A lot of them are dumber than a bag of hammers. But here's.
Well, that's true.
That doesn't make them not dangerous.
No, you're right. It does.
It makes them more dangerous, actually.
I think we're giving them, to a certain extent, I think we give them too much credit. That's
Well,
all.
did he let those Bundy assholes out of prison?
Yeah.
You know, that's the people we're talking about.
Yeah.
Took over the bird sanctuary, going to
Yeah,
stand off the National Guard, you know. And,
yeah, these guys.
I think the rednecks, you know. I think also really, really, really important is the history John mentioned of the era in which the three of us grew up. That was the world.
You guys
That
you guys are a little ahead of me.
But it was a union way of life. That's
in a way, yeah, it was.
I came in on the tail end of that. You know, I know because my father talked about it. You know, he brought it up on the job and got in trouble for it. He was a cop in Northern Virginia. And
well, that's what I think we're never going to get back. I don't think we're ever going to get back.
Yeah.
One at a time.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Larry.
I'd like to see more an educational approach to different ways to distribute goods. If you were talking about the toilet paper being industrial and for the general population or for commercial, and I think the same thing is true with food. And we're going to see that. They can't repackage the food fast enough. You get the food right away. You have to have that every day. And these big long lines of the food giveaways, there's something utterly incongruent. There's a big line of new automobiles
that you've never seen before. The people in these bags have never seen these other people before.
Yeah, that's important. But the way we do things, I don't know, John. What do you know about the gift economy? That is rumbling. You know, I mean, it's not rumbling. There are people who know a lot about that. There's a guy.
Yeah, it takes a different culture, I think.
Yeah, and you're back to keeping what I have, getting as much as I can, and then keeping what I have. That's a poor model for distribution of goods, I think.
Well, I mean, you really need to I don't know what it's going to take for, I mean, the United States, you got a choice, right? You can either go in a social democratic direction, which, in other words, a little more socialism, and which you're going to be doing something about the gap and the inequality gap, right?
By the way, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it.
You're either going to do that, or nothing fundamentally is no matter what you try to do. I mean, if you try to keep, pleasing the Wall Street thing and not doing the structural changes that you need to do, then this problem, this disease, will not go away, in my opinion. Okay. But people do not change societies structurally until, frankly, they break. They don't do it. Okay. I mean, it's way too costly. It's risky. It's going to cost people's lives and fortunes. And, you don't overthrow, people thought slavery was abhorrent from the beginning, at least in most of the country. But I mean, until it wrecks the country, right? Until they cannot continue anymore without splitting the whole thing.
Yeah, doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, then
what about, here's a story for you. When we were building our homes in Texas after the last crash, everybody left Detroit and put on a hammer and a tool belt in Texas because Houston was booming. Anyway, we would do one unit, and it was piecework. And we wouldn't even finish the unit. Say we get to the roof, and the time I'm remembering is we got into the job a little bit. We were framing up, and we decided we're not getting paid enough, So we call the supervisor and say, "This isn't paying right. We can't do this." He walks out on the roof and he says, "Well, there's your problem. You're doing too good a job." Because I don't know, when you put roof decking on, there's print on one side of the piece of roofing or plywood. You have to put that up. And down. I mean, you can't have that showing. He says, look at that. You just don't worry about that. Don't worry about doing that way. You're just not working fast enough because you're doing too good a job. That was his answer. Now that's what you have to deal with.
Yeah.
That's the problem, is you have to deal with that guy. Yeah, you see, and the only thing you can do is say, well, find somebody else.
That's true. Mike, yeah.
Would you stop being so professional, damn it?
Well,
you are a craftsman.
I'm just thinking that this economy doesn't work, and it has changed. And here, this is an opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an opportunity in crisis. Always is. Always. We could do better. We could. Another thing we don't do is look abroad.
True.
There are other democracies, that aren't as capitalistic. They have little capitalist.
Yeah.
China, for Christ's sake, is like that.
That's true.
Well, we wanted to once
Well,
again.
one thing that's come up out of this is we don't know what the hell we're doing.
Once again, we want to say that
we're doing a crappy job.
This is the end of the road with my friends John Case, who's the host, and our good buddy Larry Bish, who is wise beyond even his years. And it's funny because Larry's only 27.
Well, we're at 53 minutes, guys. So if you want to, maybe we should have some concluding prayers here. What do you think? All right, and
like
well, Mike, why don't you? Really, I think you missed your calling as Father Guido, but what prayer might you have for us?
Is it going to be okay? All right, I'm just saying. Now we're all, hey, people, please try to pay attention to what the experts say. And, if this big, fat, gelatinous, orange-haired man comes on your TV, run. Mute it, run, or wait until he's done spewing his nonsense. There's more value in a Frankenberry commercial for Frankenberry cereal. There's more quality and truth and production value in that than there is in this idiot talking for 90 minutes. And, look, all you're doing is wasting Fauci's time. If the little pocket rocket there is on the stand just staring at this idiot, just Fauci's like, oh, come on, I gotta go. So let's cheer for the experts, shall we?
Okay, all right. That's a new kind of. I'll have to send that one to Pope Francis, see how he digs that prayer. Okay,
that's my prayer. There it is.
Thank you, Mark. Larry.
Okay, I want to say I have the most startling thing I saw in the last couple of days is that something like 39 hospital workers got the virus, and something like 10 of them have died.
Yep.
And we can't lose these people. And they're wearing garbage bags. He's shitting me.
Yep.
He's shitting me. We did a shitty job. It was shitty, terrible job, worse than anybody. To say we're doing great and we did all these great things is the most obnoxious and appalling, stupid thing I've ever heard anybody say after the performance we had. Terrible.
That is that's another kind of prayer there.
Well, yeah, it is, and Larry's right. And I'll go, John. I don't even know if the tape was running when I mentioned this about the young lady who is a doctor in the Bronx.
No, it wasn't yet. No.
It wasn't running. The tape wasn't running. I just want to make sure we get this in because this young lady had a film. She was filming her shift, and she showed the ICU, and I think. It might have been her station. I don't know if it was the ICU, but she said there's 47 people, I think, intubated in this one hospital in the Bronx, which she said is at capacity, which is so much better than 2 days ago when they had almost 100. Almost 100.
Wow.
And she's coming off like a 15, 16-hour shift. And here's the rub, Larry. She's going home. She just FaceTimed with her 4-year-old. And she was even said, admittedly, she was too tired to even do that. She's got to go home and homeschool her kids during the day and hope that she can get a nap before her next shift.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Well,
you freaking
okay.
kid.
My little prayer, and it is a prayer, is that we confront an uncertain future with holding our friends close and our families close, and that we, adopt a point of view is that to take care of each other, since the situation may get bad enough, most likely will, that we are our own protection. And usually it takes a lot of time and a lot of hard life for people to realize that, and we're in a hard time, and it is hard life. But I'm hopeful that we will find strength there, and find a way to that Joe Biden, if he's going to be the nominee, and it looks like he is, that he will need every bit of support, and including criticism of things that may or may not be the right thing, whatever. I'm not talking about just blindly following anybody. Certainly not. Joe's got a complicated history, but he's a decent guy. I've always felt that. He's been capable of change. I don't think Obama would have picked him if he was a racist. I don't think he would have.
Well,
so I'm hopeful that we can get there, but I believe the biggest challenge is, will we get to the election?
yes, and I'm hoping we do. I'm about 85% sure we will, but that could decrease. What I would say to John along Joe's line, look, the bottom line is we all have to be Obi-Wan Kenobi now.
Yeah, that's for sure.
We all have to be Obi-Wan. We all have to hold on to hope. We all have to take care of each other. We have to check in with each other. Larry, please keep those little gifts coming that you're sending me on the direct message. Those are always funny and welcome. I got to remember to send you some of mine, which are generally from my socialist younger brother, who is reluctantly supporting Biden now.
Yeah.
But reluctant or otherwise, I don't give a shit as long as you vote for Biden and get rid of this horror story we're seeing every day.
All right. May the force be with you guys. And, I hope Baby Yoda survives. Okay.
Live long and prosper.
All right, guys. Take it easy, man. See you later.